Hello, Journey family and friends. Welcome to this week's edition of Midweek Conversations. Pastor John Hampton here with you. Thanks for joining us. And today, you can tell, I got a whole crew with me because it takes a mess of us to talk about this subject today with hopefully a little bit of intelligence. We'll see. Hey, let me introduce the crew here to you. This is Pastor Roddy Connor, Pastor Harvey Carpenter, Pastor Randy Green, and Gary Wilkerson, who is our Director of Facilities here at Journey. So today, we're going to have a little follow-up conversation to last week's message on marriage. If you're joining us, we've been doing a series called Defining Moments, and this past Sunday, we did a message called Marriage Moments. And if you haven't heard that, I encourage you to go back, take a listen to that or any other messages in this series. Defining Moments. I think for all of us, we would say marriage is a defining moment. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
Absolutely. For sure.
So let's just talk a little bit about, I added up all of our years. Gary, tell them how many years you're going to be married on June 11th.
50 years.
50 years. Randy, how many years you going to be married June the 14th?
41.
41 years. Yeah. So Harvey and Sandy were married June the 1st. How many years?
36 years.
36 years. And Pastor Roddy?
We just had our 40th wedding anniversary.
That was back on Easter Sunday, wasn't it?
That's exactly right.
This year.
Of this year. That's
April
right.
4th.
April the 4th. Good memory.
Melinda and I we're married 38 years as of June the 4th. So if you're quick at math, add all that up. That's 205 years of marriage right here.
Right.
Oh, wow.
So you need to listen real close because we got a lot of marriage experience. I don't know how much wisdom we got, but we got a lot of marriage experience that we can share. So let's start with you, Brother Gary,
Okay.
since you are the most veteran married man among us. Tell us a little bit about your wedding day.
Oh, the wedding day was a little bit unusual. I was married in a Presbyterian church in Louisville, Kentucky, and when I knelt at the altar, people started laughing, and I didn't know what that was about until afterwards. And my parents, loving as they were, put "help me" on my shoe. So I didn't know what that meant yet until I was married for a little bit, but I found that out. But that was a little bit unusual that it happened, but it was a very special day. I had been dating my wife for 4 years, and I was in the service at the time, and we were able to have some time to get married. Had a honeymoon for 6 days, and then I'm gone for 7 months overseas. Wow. So our marriage has been strong, and the separation has actually strengthened our marriage.
Well, maybe that's the secret to 50 years of marriage. Have a 6-day honeymoon and be gone for 7 months.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. All right, Brother Randy, tell us a little bit about you and Sandra and your wedding day.
Well, we were married over in Winter Garden at Sandra's home church there at West Orange Church of Christ, and it was a great day. I was scared to death. I'll just be honest with you. The night before, I was talking to my best man, Doug. He and I grew up together, and I said, I am scared to death. I don't know about this thing. And Doug said, look, you loved her yesterday, and you'll love her tomorrow. I've gone about 1,100 miles. I've driven 1,100 miles to go to a wedding. And so
it's happening.
It's happening, and it ain't going to be me. And so I got married, and I just love Sandra to death. First time I ever saw her, she was on a photograph on a refrigerator door. Wow. And I looked at that picture, and I asked her sister, I said, who is that? And she said, this is my sister. And I said, was she married? And she goes, no. I said, is she a Christian? And she goes, yeah. And she said, I said, well, can she sing? And she said, yeah, she got a beautiful voice. And I said, I'm going to marry that girl.
Wow.
And I did.
She had a little checklist there. And singing had to be on it.
It had to be on it because I love to sing, I love to worship, and I could not think about spending my whole life together with somebody
that
who could not sing.
explains all these musical kids, Randy.
There you go.
Yeah, that's very good.
Amen. That's awesome. I didn't know that. All right, Pastor Harvey, tell us a little bit about you and Sandy's wedding day?
Well, we were married June the 1st, 1985. We were married here in Central Florida, actually in Orlando. Used to be a church on the east side called Southeast Christian Church. Oh, wow. One of my best friends, Tom Hensley, did the ceremony for us. And that was a great day. I remember I was in a completely white tuxedo, white shoes, white tuxedo with
Me
tails.
too.
You wore a white one as
Same
well?
thing, yeah.
That was that in the day back in the
That's
day.
great.
That was the thing to do. But so Sandy and I dated. We've been married 36 years, but I've known her for more than 50 years.
Oh, wow.
I mean, I knew her when we were
Wow.
just kids. We went to the same church, and then we moved away, and they moved away, and then ultimately, when we were in high school, we were reacquainted. And even though we didn't go to the same high school, we went to the same church. We didn't date in high school, but the moment we graduated, that 3 months between high school graduation and the start of college, that's when we started dating.
Is that right?
That's right. And then we ended up
Great
going to the
story.
same college, and for 4 years we dated. And then when we graduated one weekend, got married the next weekend.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So 36 years later.
36
Happy
years
as I
later.
can be.
Awesome. Pastor Roddy, tell us a little bit about your wedding day.
Yeah, so Shelley and I got married in the church I grew up in Tavares, First Baptist Church in Tavares in April of 1981. What a great year it was. And Shelley and I met on a blind date.
Really?
Yeah, and honestly, I said... and
Who
I
set
still,
you up?
A mutual friend.
Okay.
A mutual friend that we both knew. And she'd been telling me about this girl I needed to meet. And I said, okay. I said, if I take her out, will you leave me alone? And the reality is it was the most important date of my whole life because, God sent her from North Dakota, a farm girl, and clearly the love of my life. So
Now, when she wanted to take this Florida boy up to North Dakota in the winter, how'd that hit you the first time?
cold, real cold. As long as it was just for Christmas for a few days, it was all right. But Shelley had decided she didn't want to live in that cold weather anymore, and that was just
Smart.
fine with me.
Yeah.
Exactly.
A
Really
very smart lady.
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome. Good deal. Well, Melinda and I were married June 4th, 1983 at 1:30 in the afternoon. I remember the time, guys. Melinda and I met at church camp. We met just the year before. Actually, the June before we got married. So we'd only known each other about 11 months. She came to babysit her brother's little girl. Her brother was the missionary for this week of senior high camp, and she just graduated high school, and she came to kind of babysit her. She also participated in the camp, and I was like the athletic director of the week of camp, and I did the Vesper speaking at night. I spoke to the students at night, and she thought I was an old man. I mean, she thought I was, like in my mid-20s at the time. I'm like 19, somewhere in that neighborhood, and we met and started dating. And I told her, I said, the next girl that I say I love you to, I'm going to marry her. So I said, I'm not going to say that lightly or frivolously. So I told her I loved her in October, I think, of that year, and she says, "That mean we're getting married?" And I think the next week or next 2 weeks, we saw each other about every 2 weeks. She went to college in Lexington, and I went to college in Cincinnati. I think the next time we saw each other, I asked her to marry me. So, interesting story. My best man, David Vaughn, who's a pastor, and you've met him on Midweek Conversations a few weeks ago. David Vaughn, at our wedding, sold stuff out of the trunk of his car. And if you knew David Vaughn, you say, that's exactly right. I'm talking about perfume, knives, radios. He had the trunk of his car open at our wedding, and he was making deals. Wow. That's my best buddy right there. All right, so let's talk just, I've got 2 daughters. Tell them about your children.
I have 2 sons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Expecting your first grandchild soon, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
In 50 days, not that anybody's counting.
Amen.
I have 2 children, a boy and a girl. They're both grown. One's married and one's engaged.
Hey, I was going to say, and one's getting married in this fall.
Yeah.
So they're both getting married
they're
this year.
both getting married this year, yep.
All right. Randy?
And I have 7 children, and 15 and almost 16 grandchildren.
Almost.
Because I got one in the oven. Crystal is.
That's right.
So.
Gary,
I
how
don't
many
think
children?
anybody can beat the Green family, but I have two, one son and one daughter. They're both married. I have 4 grandchildren and 1 great-granddaughter.
Okay, no particular order on this one, but is there any particular anniversary that over the years that stands out to you?
I can
and what
think
would it
of
be?
one just recently.
Okay.
We had on our bucket list, and we have several, and everybody usually does, but we wanted to go to Hawaii as a couple, and it was just about 3 years ago that we got to go to Hawaii with my son and daughter-in-law, and we actually got to go to all the islands. So
Wow.
It was really unique,
That's a
and
lot.
we got to celebrate our anniversary while we were on the cruise ship that went around the islands. So yeah, it was a very special and very enjoyable time, and we got to spend it with family, too, instead
Nice.
of just going by ourselves.
Love it.
Well, Sandra and I, we were in Kazakhstan, and I think it was our 25th wedding anniversary, and we had some friends that had come to visit us, and so they were like celebrating their 45th or something like that, and so we went to this place to celebrate our anniversary, and we had like these huts outside and everything. You've been to Kazakhstan,
Yeah, right.
and so anyway, it was a little rustic, but we had a really good time.
Good. You're 25th. All right.
Yeah. Well, for me, my wife just loves the beach, and so anytime she can get over to the coast, that's her preference. And so a couple years ago, we had our anniversary in Cancun, Mexico, and for Sandy, that's the pinnacle of where she wants to be.
I remember that
You
one.
remember that
Yeah.
one, and so she loved it, and probably for her, no doubt, it's the most memorable anniversary we've had, just because of the location.
Nice.
Our last anniversary, the 40th, it's just fresh on my mind, but it was very, very memorable for Shelley and me. Some milestones in our lives, and that just helped mark it, and Journey was a big part of that, so we're grateful for that. And I'm grateful for every year I've had with my precious wife.
I would say a good memory for Melinda and I was our 25th wedding anniversary as well. I wanted to get Melinda a bigger stone. I was a poor preacher, young, and poor economically as well as qualitatively as well. But Harvey got that. Did you get it? Okay, good.
I'm just the only one that laughed.
Yeah, thank you, Harvey. Appreciate that. But I couldn't afford a much of an engagement ring for Melinda. It was just a small little ring. She loves it, still wears it, was proud of it. But I thought if I get the opportunity, get a little money, I'm going to get her a bigger, diamonds. And one in the middle, and then 2 on either side. One represent both our girls, and then the bigger one, for her. So I planned all this out, told our girls about it, and took Anna to the mall to see it because, of course, 25, they're old enough to kind of be a part of this. And we went out to a special club that we were a part of up in Congress Lake golf course, beautiful, and they had a nice little room just for me and Melinda. And after we ate, went outside, I was more nervous giving her that ring than I was the original ring. And I don't know why, but I was just nervous about it. And she looked at me, she's like, "Are you okay?" And we were sitting outside at that point, and I pulled out this ring and I opened it up and I showed it to her and I said, "Happy 25th wedding anniversary." And she looked at me, and her first response was, "Why did you do that?" I mean, was not what I was expecting. Yeah. She said, "Why did you do that?" I said, "Because I love you. I wanted you to have a little nicer ring." So that was a special memory for us. All right, one more question. We'll talk a little bit about what's the best marriage advice. And all of us have done weddings. And you've certainly been to enough of them, Gary. What's the best marriage advice you would give? I tweeted something on Twitter last week that said a good husband advice is when your wife gets her hair done, take her out to eat. Yeah. I mean, don't let her go home with that nice $100 hairdo. Take her out to eat and enjoy that. So I don't know if that's the best advice I got, but Roddy, what would you tell someone?
I agree with my wife, Shelley. Shelley says
Well, you can just stop right there. That's the best advice you can do. You agree with your wife.
That's exactly right. Shelley says, it's not about me. And I need to remember that. And I think that's really good advice, that it's not just about you, always thinking about the other person. The other thing I would say is communication is more important than I could ever emphasize. Not just having a talk, but really understanding, talking to each other. And I would also say commitment, making a determination that from the very beginning that you're committed to this. Nothing's going to change your mind about it. And, God's going to see you through it.
We talked about in the message last week about covenant and the difference between covenant and contract.
Exactly.
And how important it is that when we enter into marriage, we're entering into a marriage covenant, not just a social contract.
Exactly. That's exactly right.
Yeah. Good. All right.
Well, I've had a lot of good marriage advice over the years, and no doubt you want to have a fun, loving relationship. You want to be best friends with your wife. But someone told me one time, never let a day go by that you don't tell your wife that you love her.
That's
and
good.
I've tried to do that every day of my marriage. It's just at least one time somewhere along the way, whether it's in a text or just I speak it or whatever way, just
Absolutely.
tell her that I love her. And I don't think you can say that too many times.
That's good. And another thing, Harvey, it kind of related to that I heard is how important greetings and goodbyes are. Yes. Meaning that before you leave, I give Melinda a kiss. I mean, before I leave, I give her a kiss. And when I get home, she comes to me and I give her a kiss. So greetings and goodbyes are really important.
That's right.
Along with saying I love you.
Yeah.
That's good stuff.
That's good. Yeah, I like the kissing part.
With 7 kids, we figured that out.
And we have something in our bedroom that says, always kiss me goodnight. And so, every night before you go to sleep, I always kiss her too. But one of the things that I think that's so important is you praise your marriage into greatness. And so you're always praising that person. You're always speaking good into your wife's life. Because everybody is insecure on things, and so you just praise your marriage into greatness. I think, and it's a really good thing. I heard that from Marvin Phillips years ago at a seminar that we were at, and then also just serve each other is probably one of the best things that you can do is serve each other and be a servant to one another. And, like you said, hugs and kisses is good. And like my brother says, he says, listen, when you mess up, just say, honey, I'm sorry. I was wrong. I'll do my best not to do it again. Please forgive me.
Amen. There you go. That'd save a lot of marriages, Pastor Randy, if people would do that. No, that's good stuff. Good.
Well, I'll kind of sum up with what the pastors have said is you have to marry your best friend. I think that is very important to have a good relationship with each other because love is one thing and respect as another person is another. And then God in the center of your life. Christ has always been in the center of our life through our marriage. That's carried us through a lot of stuff that we don't like to go through, but it stuck us together, and I just love being with her. I love doing things with her. We just have quiet time and being able to go somewhere. It's really enjoyable. I even like to do the things that I don't like to do with her, but she loves doing it. So
that's awesome.
When you can do stuff like that, your marriage will last forever.
That's true.
At least 50 years.
Yes, at least 50.
At least 50 years.
I'll let you know next year.
I heard someone say, I think it was John Maxwell. He said, listen to your wife. And not just, you're right, honey, and, but really listen to your wife and value her counsel. I've learned that over the years. I learned early on that when I would hire somebody, I'd take Melinda with me to meet them because I wanted her to meet them, get to know them, and I wanted their wife to come as well. So I wanted them to know who Melinda was, but just listen to your wife and value her counsel. I would say that would be some of the advice I would give, as well as take her out when she gets her hair done. Yeah, right.
That's important.
All right.
Yes.
Hey guys, this has been a fun and fast 20 minutes that went by.
It definitely has.
But thank you for being examples of healthy marriages. And that's so important in a church that you see an example of healthy marriages over the decades, whether it's 36 or 50, that couples are growing together, love to be together, want to be together, and still moving ahead, following the Lord, Jesus at the center of their home. A lot of the things we talked about this past Sunday in Marriage Moments. So thanks for being examples of that and encouraging so many others to be a part of that as well. And we're in a season, June's a marriage. I know you got a wedding, Harvey, that you just did. Pastor Eddie's doing a wedding coming up here.
Wow.
Pastor Randy, we shared that had a couple that came to be baptized. They were living together, weren't married, convicted by God. Hey, we want to make our relationship right. I think the next week, didn't you?
Yeah,
the next week.
next week.
Pastor Randy married that couple. So just very, God's doing a lot of good stuff in marriages, and we pray He will in yours, or Amen. In that day, if He leads, that you would get married in the future. Hey, thanks for joining us. This week, we're going to have a little more fun with the Defining Moment series. I'm going to be doing a message called Senior Moments. And this is for those of us. There you go. All of us up here, I think we're all 55 and above. We qualify for the senior discount and have for a while, some of us have. So I think it's important we talk about senior moments and aging in the Lord. And how we do that. So that's what we're going to be talking about this Sunday, and looking forward to that. As always, thanks for joining us, and we are all loving the journey.